I don't know about you, but I am definitely here for the early theme in Laval's season, which seems to be just keep winning. Let's find out who's helping them do that. Well, the celebrations continue for the Laval Rocket as they continue to find themselves in the win column night after night after night. Today I'm going to give you a quick recap of both games that the Rocket played last week. Going to give you an update on some injuries, as well as a look at how the Montreal Canadiens prospects are doing in Laval. I definitely have a standout star to pick for you this week, and then I'll get you all set up with a quick preview of Laval's schedule this coming week. Just 2 games to cover for you on the Rocket Rewind this week because Laval did not play on Wednesday this week. So that means they just had last Friday and Saturday's games. Both of them were against the Providence Bruins, the AHL affiliate of the Boston Bruins, and they opened the season playing against Providence. They had won that game. Well, and they won both of these games against Providence as well. This time the Bruins were visiting Laval, so these were 2 home games for the Laval Rocket. Starting with Friday night, it was a low-scoring game. Laval actually won this one 2-1. Jared Davidson was the one who actually opened the scoring in the first period with a nice setup by Logan Mailloux, who was playing his first game for Laval since he was sent back down to the Rocket from the Montreal Canadiens. Then in the third period, with the game tied, Brandon Gignac actually had a really nice setup for Owen Beck, scoring the game-winning goal shorthanded. It was a tremendous effort by Gignac and Beck, and the Laval Rocket were able to keep their win streak alive. And all of that was despite the fact that they really struggled on Friday night to get pucks to the net. They only had 16 shots on goal in total for the night. 4 shots on goal in the first period, 4 in the second period, and 8 in the third period. You could also see throughout this game that there was some animosity building up between these 2 teams. They did not seem to care much for one another, and that really started to boil over on Saturday afternoon for the rematch. There were a lot of fights. In fact, 2 Laval players received misconducts in this game. Early in the game, in the second period, Vincent Arsenault had a misconduct for continuing an altercation, and then Luke Tuck got a game misconduct in the final couple minutes of the game on an interference call. And so it was definitely a much more intense game, but Laval came to score goals on this one, winning 6-3. Joshua Waugh had a hat trick. It was pretty spectacular to see. Mailloux put up another 4-point game. That's his second 4-point game of the season. Oddly enough, the first time he had a 4-point game was also in that opening game of the season against Providence. So apparently Logan Mailloux really likes to play against the Providence Bruins. That puts Laval's record at an impressive 8-1 to start the season. In fact, they are on a 7-game win streak now, which is a new franchise record for consecutive wins. They're hoping to continue that later this week. But the good news does come with a bit of bad news. Now, the interesting thing is Connor Hughes was the one who actually backstopped the Rocket for both of these games. And again, Connor Hughes performed really well, particularly playing in back-to-back games that were less than 24 hours apart, because Saturday's game was an afternoon matinee that started at 3. But he did, once again, very well in net, seemed to be very confident. So why wasn't Jakub Dobeš in net? Well, Dobeš had played in last Wednesday's game, but between Wednesday and Friday, he came up injured, says the Laval Rocket. He is currently day-to-day, and he did not play all weekend. We'll see if he, after a week of practice and for him a week of rest and so forth, if he is able to suit up for any of this weekend's games for Laval. In addition to that, another unfortunate prospect injury has cropped up this week. Jared Davidson is considered week to week, which is Again, unfortunate. We know Philip Meshar is out long-term, probably for at least 2 months. And now Jared Davidson goes down on a week-to-week level as well. So not sure yet what the injury there for him is, but hopefully he'll be able to recover quickly. The prospects, though, they just really continue to shine for the Laval Rocket, and the Montreal Canadiens organization has to be really, really pleased about that. Habs fans can also get really excited about that. I mentioned Joshua Waugh had a hat trick on Saturday, which was very fun to see, as well as he had an assist on Friday night's game as well. Owen Beck with that shorthanded game-winning goal on Friday night added another 2 assists on Saturday. Defenseman Adam Engstrom even had an assist in there over the weekend. The prospects really do continue to move forward, learn, do better, and they many times are the story of a game for Laval. And the fact that Laval is winning so much, those two things put together means only really good things and optimism for the future of the Montreal Canadiens organization. My standout star for the week, though, has to be Logan Mailloux. I mentioned that he had his second 4-point game of the season on Saturday, posting a goal and 3 assists. He also had an assist on Friday night's game, so that's 1 goal and 4 assists in less than 24 hours for Logan Mailloux. Keep in mind, he has spent the prior 2 weeks up in the NHL, and so Logan Mailloux has only actually played 4 games in the AHL so far this season. But his performance this past week even earned him Player of the Week status for the AHL league-wide. The league chose Logan Mailloux to spotlight as their Player of the Week because of those performances against Providence, and because in his 4 games, he is now tied for the league lead among all defensemen in assists. He's got 6 assists on the season, and in points, he's got 9 points on the season. So Logan Mailloux, after coming off of a spectacular rookie campaign last year, a campaign where he was an AHL All-Star in his rookie year, and where he was named to the AHL All-Rookie team at the end of the season, in the AHL, he has picked up right where he has left off, and in just 4 games played, he finds himself at the top of the leaderboard among defensemen league-wide in assists and in points. Logan Mailloux, absolutely a standout star. I don't expect him to stay in Laval all season. I think he'll get another call-up for another NHL stint sometime soon. So what does Laval have in front of them to defend this win streak that they've got going and to keep things moving and accumulating in the standings? Well, they kick off a 5-game road trip this week. The first stop is in Belleville, their division rival, the Belleville Senators, the AHL affiliate of the Ottawa Senators. This is a 2-game stop for Belleville. They will play there Friday night and Saturday night, both at 7 o'clock. And then they continue the trip by heading to Rochester to play the Rochester Americans next Wednesday night. Rochester, of course, is the AHL affiliate of the Buffalo Sabres. Both of these opponents can tend to be pretty tough to play against. They are division opponents, so these are important games early in the season, particularly if Laval wants to keep that top of the division standing that they currently have. Yes, they have overcome the Toronto Marlies. Laval now sitting at the top of the North Division. So it will prove to be some pretty exciting hockey for the Laval Rocket, a big test for them. 5-game road trip will not be easy. We'll see how the prospects shape up. We'll see if Jakub Dobiš can get back in net. That could end up being a factor in this as well. And I have to say, I'm sure all of you watching also agree, if you're a fan of the Laval Rocket, this season so far has just been so refreshing compared to last season's start. I mean, last season they were setting franchise records for losing streaks. We have really come a long way in terms of watching this team just in a year. So they have certainly found themselves in a precarious position in past years, in a danger zone in the past years. That hasn't been the case this season. I think the talent on the team has something to do with it. I definitely think the hiring of Pascal Vincent has a big thing to do with it, and we'll see if that continues. But Elliot Friedman, on a recent episode of his 32 Thoughts podcast, did use the phrase danger zone when referring to the Montreal Canadiens, says that he believes that the Canadiens are entering kind of a danger zone in the stage that they're at with their rebuild and the difficulties that the team has suffered in this early part of the season at the NHL level. And Rick Stevens and myself on the most recent Canadiens Connection podcast took a really close look at some more reaction that Marty St. Louis has had, some reaction of some of the players like Brendan Gallagher to the bag skate that St. Louis put them through last week. I mean, it's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to turn things around for Montreal. And to be honest, they then went and lost the game last Saturday night. They lost to Calgary in overtime this week. Things have not quickly gotten better. So if you'd like to kind of hear the ins and outs of that, if you'd like to hear Elliot Friedman's full thoughts on why the Canadiens are in a quote-unquote danger zone, well, then you're going to want to watch this video right here, and then be sure to meet me here again next week. See you then.